Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, no doubt, starts now. This, my fellow Americans, is the broadcast for May 24th in the year of our Lord 2025. This is our one of two. The goal always to protect life, liberty, and property, to promote God, family, and country, to do so on your radio in the traditions of our founding fathers. Yes, indeed, we use the checks and balances brilliantly put in place by the founding fathers in the supreme law of the land, the Constitution for the United States of America. That is our guide. And as you know, we reject revolution. We stand for peaceful restoration of the greatest country on the face of the earth. Welcome to the broadcast. Actually, we accept a revolution if it's a Jesus revolution because we follow the Prince of Peace. Hope you had a freedom-loving, fantastic Friday yesterday. Pray you had a delightful and are having a delightful God, family, country-filled weekend. There's so much going on. You know, what do they call that thing? Maytember or Maycember? May's kind of like December, man. It's so full of so many activities and so many things going on. And, man, you just can't catch a break, it seems. A little crazy. Anyway, there's so much going on for me personally and my family and everything else. My youngest daughter just graduated from high school. Wow. What a tremendous event that was Thursday night. Had an incredible dinner and recognitions and such like that. And then Friday, the graduation. And so I wasn't on the radio Thursday or Friday because of the conflicts and all the different, goings-ons and such like that. I had a work event that took place right during the show, too. And so Thursday and Friday had a break. Dr. Bradley out of town. So anyway, we're just doing the very best we can. But, man, I've got to stay up on the news, got to stay up on what's important, got to keep a handle on things. So a quick recap. Last Wednesday we had on James Edwards. Race, Politics, and Hypocrisy in the 21st Century, thepoliticalcesspool.org. Great commentator, great talk show on the weekends, live, Saturday night, or on demand at any time, thepoliticalcesspool.org. He's also the author of Racism, Schmacism, a great book that should be updated because, man, he wrote it and put some great case point reality in there. But, man, there's been so many things that have updated since then, so many changes, really highlighting the point that he's made for quite some time now. Anyway, with James, we talked about a bunch of things. I thought I'd recap a couple of them here in case you missed it. Chicago mayor claims black people are the most generous people on the planet. That's theblaze.com. Yeah, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson only hires black people. Jason Whitlock over at Harmony reports. It's very, very weird. The whole thing is just strange. I'm not here to be against black people or white people or anything else. I'm just here to say, why would you say that? I only hire black people? Black people are the most generous people on the planet? Okay, I think Americans are the most generous people on the planet, and studies bear that out. Why? Because Americans have a unique viewpoint. We look to God, not government, for solutions. At least we need to be. We're all about God, family, and country, and, we're some of the most generous people in the world. But why would you say black people are the most generous? And in America, is that just trying to create racial divide, or what's the value and that kind of thing? And you only hire black people? Wow, if that's not an indictment, I don't know what is. I'm always for the best guy getting the job, the most qualified, the most humble, the most whatever, there's a sweet spot in supply and demand of how much you pay for an employee versus what kind of an output you get from them. AI is going to change that game. There's no doubt about that, so keep an eye on all that. AI combined with automation, even more so. You've got these AI bots, and an AI bot is just basically a little query there. You put a prompt up, the bot can get answers for you and fetch information, but it doesn't actively, take tasks. The bot just responds to you and supplies information, organizes information, whatever. The difference between a bot and an agent, just from an IT point of view so people understand, an agent is kind of like a bot that can do things on its own. It can take a series of actions, right? So you watch for a trigger of some kind, something happens, and you say, okay, when this happens, do this, do that, whatever. That's the difference between kind of a bot and an agent, just at a quick summary, recursory level that people might be able to understand. Anyway, I digress. I just wanted to say that it's important to really understand what's going on with some of these things, right? There's so much in the news. All right, we talked about the media participated in the cover-up of Biden's decline, experts say. That's the WashingtonStand.com. Great news site. This government was illegally run for 4 years. Trump vows probe into this auto pen discussion. That's Joe Kovacs over at WND.com with that piece. The auto pen is a crazy thing. Who signed legislation opening our borders? I don't think Trump knew. I said there's nobody that could want an open border. Nobody. And now I find out that it wasn't him. It was staffers. Who am I talking about? Trump is saying this. Trump also noted, quote, open borders allowed 21 million people into our country, and many of these people are stone cold murderers. Wow. Think about that for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. 21 million got brought in. That's a big number. And they used to report 12 million. So now if you say 12 million plus the 21 million, wow. You know, it's an insane number. So how many illegals are in the United States? We don't even have any idea. But no doubt it's north of 21 million. I mean, you know, my guess is 30 million. I mean, the number's just insane, ladies and gentlemen. And, I agree with it. You got to deport them. You got to obey the law. Now, personally, I think the big issue that no one seems to be talking about very much, we need to change the laws that we have regarding immigration. I get justice for hardened criminals, no question. But there needs to be a mercy plan. There needs to be a mercy plan for those who, yeah, they broke the law. They're here, they broke the law, and there needs to be accountability. I get it. But there's got to be a merciful way forward for those who just want a better life. The real question is, how do you separate the criminals from those who may have broken a law to be here, but yet, you know what, they're not really criminals. I mean, you could say they are because they're breaking the law. I get it. I'm not here to quibble about that. What I am here to say is, hey, if you're just seeking a better life, I mean, who wouldn't come to America, even illegally, if that was the only way they could come? A lot of people would come. Now, I support doing it right. Don't misunderstand me. But it's sometimes, for example, stealing. Stealing is wrong. Thou shalt not steal. It's clearly wrong. However, if you're starving and you steal, is it wrong? You can say the answer is yes, because you can't make it right. It's not right if you steal. But yet, at some point, the hierarchy of values justifies, yeah, I did steal. I'm so sorry. I'll work to make it up, but I was so hungry. Okay, when does that all happen? And to some degree with the immigration discussions, to me, that's kind of on the table here. What about people that don't know any other lives? You can say, well, hey, they're illegal. They got to go. I know, but what if they don't know any other? What if they don't even know Spanish or any other language? What if they don't know anything about their home country? What if they don't have family or a place to go or any infrastructure or anything else? Taking them and putting them on the streets in a foreign country at the behests of criminals and thugs and street gangs and violence, and is that better? Or is there a better way to look forward and say, let's temper the justice plan with some mercy? Anyway, I've written about this extensively, talked about it to some degree to ad nauseum, but at the same time, I say we got to keep talking about it and working on it until we get some real change, right? Real change. All right, anyway, then we talked about Donald Trump issues startling defense of Joe Biden while revealing who is actually responsible for destroying America, right? He calls it treason at the highest level, according to the Daily Mail over in the UK. That's Trump. President Trump said that his predecessor did not destroy the country. Rather, it was his staff around him who knew that he was cognitively impaired, and they did it. And Trump may be very well correct on that. I'm not here to argue about that. How much Joe knew, we don't know. We've debated that till the cows come home. The problem is Joe says he's fine. Joe says, he could have beaten Donald Trump. Okay, so as long as Joe's going to run around and make those claims, either you've got to get somebody to declare him incompetent where he can't, withstand a trial, or you've got to put him on trial for the crimes that he's committed here. This auto pen thing is out of control. Personally, Sam Bushman speaking now, I don't know, to be honest with you, whether Joe Biden's culpable at this stage of the game or not. And I don't know what an auto pen means at this point either. Is an auto pen something that, it just means somebody else signed on behalf of the president? Does it mean it's really an auto pen that it's like, And I talked about these agents and these bots, right? Is it an agent? Is it just some electronic thing that says, hey, go out and sign? What is the auto pen? And who wields it? And who's responsible for it? And where's the chain of command regarding it? And how does it work? And okay, I'm just getting started with my questions, people. The problem is we don't know enough about it. An auto pen in the hands of one might be way different than the auto pen in the hands of another leader as well, right? What does all that mean? Who makes decisions? When is it used? How is it used? The ultimate question, is it binding when it's used, especially when you discover there's probably fraud behind it, huh? All right, hang tight. I got more. This is Liberty Roundtable Live.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever.
This is a battle between truth and deceit. A battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, this segment of the broadcast is brought to you by localhoneyman.com. I'm telling you right now, that honey is so delicious. You know, I've been having a little bit of trouble sleeping at night from time to time. You know, as a blind person, I don't know how many people know this, but you get these equinoxes, and it messes up your circadian rhythms and everything. And I've been using some herbal teas to deal with a lot of that. It kind of helps you kind of wind down and go to sleep and everything. And the reason blind people have a problem with this is because their light perception is less or none compared to sighted people. And so what happens is when the light and the dark change, and especially when we play games with, you know, daylight savings time and all this other garbage, it really messes up circadian rhythms. And so it's hard to sleep at night and stay awake in the day sometimes. And anyway, I bring all this up because I put this killer local raw honey in my tea, and I'm telling you right now, it is phenomenal. I've been getting this cinnamon tea and this, anyway, different tea, herbal teas. I don't drink tea, but herbal teas, like chamomile tea. And anyway, it's great stuff. Just thought I'd throw that out there and tell you, Honeyman, local Honeyman tea, or local Honeyman honey in your tea is just delightful. Just saying, localhoneyman.com. All right, Trump rallies GOP lawmakers on Capitol Hill. They say in final push for one big, beautiful bill. Yournews.com had the piece. What's interesting about this is now the House passed it primarily along partisan lines. And, you know, Donald Trump said, back, big, beautiful bill, you're a fool. Shame on Trump. I don't like those kind of tactics. All right, Trump's promised big, beautiful bill is here. It's well over 1,000 pages, ladies and gentlemen. No one could contest its size. But not all Republicans are convinced of the so-called mega bill having as much value. Thomas Massie voted against it and said, listen, this thing's just a debt problem. And I think that Thomas Massie is spot on that regard. Okay? I think he's absolutely right. However, I will say, though, that, you know what, there's a lot of good, bad, and ugly in the bill. And whether, Senate will really make a lot of changes, time will tell. They're going to have a what do they call this thing, a big reconciliation on this. The Senate is going to be deciding a lot of these things, which means really it's all in the Senate's hands right now. And, it's interesting to me, and this is, again, Mike Johnson in congressional way. I'm not a fan of Mike Johnson. I know a lot of people are like, hey, his humble leadership, he just won again because it got past the House. When you basically keep us in debt, you don't really reduce spending enough, then I don't really have a lot of appreciation or acceptance for that. Mike Johnson's, in my mind, made compromise after compromise after compromise that's very dangerous for the Republic, frankly. And so I'm very concerned about it. I know a lot of people would praise Mike Johnson. I'm not really a fan. I mean, I appreciate a lot that he's done, and he's better than others to some degree. At the same time, I feel like if we're not very careful, we pretend we're making progress when we're not. We create the illusion of progress. Just let me give you a quick example to make the point. Hey, you're not allowed to have changes that go beyond 10 years for Congress. Well, hey, Congress is 1 year at a time. And a Congress representative is only there for 2 years per election cycle. In other words, every 2 years you could get rid of all of your Congress critters, all 435 of them, right? And so I bring that up to say I don't really like them if they've got a 2-year stint. I want them to really confine their debt savings or their debt reduction or their spending, their savings, their cuts, to relate to the congressional stint of their stay, if that makes sense. In other words, hey, don't be telling me about if you're a Congress critter for now. Don't be telling me about in 2027, 2030, 2035, we're going to be doing all these different things. I want you to save money on your watch. I want you to save money in your window of obligation or responsibility or swear an oath to uphold. Because another Congress could just change this. Quick example, and I don't like these temporary things they do. We put these tax cuts in place. They're incredible back in Trump's first term. And then we basically say it's going to extend. And literally the tax cuts for 2017 are about to expire now. Why would we set it up to have the tax cuts expire literally like 8 years later in the middle of Trump's next term? And now it's kind of the panic to get this passed. See, Republicans have relied on those tactics forever. And they're failed tactics. They're a betrayal. They're a dishonest manipulation. Here's the idea. Let's throw it in the middle of the next deal. Then everybody will feel under pressure and they'll pass it. They'll just go along with a big, beautiful idea and they'll just pass it. Okay, that's the problem. We've had that mentality for too long. Why should we be debating the tax cuts? Why were they temporary? Well, Sam, they had to be temporary or we couldn't get them passed in the first place. Now you're starting to talk. Well, let's expose those clowns who won't let those taxes be permanent. Okay? We do the same thing at Christmas time. Oh, golly, the budget's melting down. Oh, we're up against a wall. If we don't do something immediately, we're just going to absolutely melt down. Government's going to shut down. Your lives are never going to be the same. It's the end of the world. The sky is falling. Chicken Little mentality, and it's got to stop. Okay, this continued, we're on the ropes. Oh, my gosh, is bogus and needs to stop. And I believe Mike Johnson's just carrying this on. And you would say, Sammy doesn't have any choices. He's got his back against the wall. He's got the Democrats. He's got thin majorities. Come on, Sam, he's doing his very best. I'm sure all that's factual. But I know this. You've had all the primary rating services cut the United States' great credit rating. They've taken a step back, all three of them. I can't remember the dates, but one was in like 2011 or 2012. The other one was like in 2023 or whatever. Now all three of them have decreased the credit rating. What happens if we ignore cutting spending and they do it again? Pretty soon, we're going to be in big trouble because our credit rating is worse. The worse our credit rating gets, as you know, the worse the interest rates. The worse the interest rates the Fed gives the government, then the worse it is for you and I. See, that's the clown show. So, you say, well, hey, Mike Johnson's in a bind. He can't really do much, Sam. He's doing the best he can. My response is, the best ain't good enough then, because we don't have the time. We are running up against extended budget expenses. And even when Trump tries to cut these expenses, Congress doesn't go along. They say, yay, yay, Donald. And they wave the flag. But that's what they say, not what they do. When you look at what they do, you go, they're not really doing it. I mean, they've literally passed 5 bills, is about all, I think, that has hit Trump's desk in 5 months. That is not impressive. You say, well, Sam, it's a blessing. We don't want them to do anything. Just tie their hands and quit letting them do damage. I get that, but that's a defensive plan. I'm more of a Mike Lindell fan where he's like, hey, man, I got my offense fund. It's the Mike Lindell offense fund, not the defense fund. What does that mean? It means we're taking it to the enemy. It means we're going on offense, right? It means we're going to move the ball up the floor, if you want to use a basketball term, right? It means we're going to move the chains if you're in football. We're going to advance this thing. Okay, well, I don't really see a lot of advancing. I see we're going to make either the tax cuts of Donald Trump back in 2017, we're going to extend them. Is it permanent or temporary extension? Oh, we don't really hear a lot about the details there. See, that's my problem with all this. We're out of time. So you can say Mike can't get this done and he's got his hands tied and he's doing his very best. His best may not be good enough. If our credit rating goes down even further, then what? And at some point, how much control will we really have? Right? Because if inflation's rampant due to dishonest fiat fake money in the Federal Reserve, and the tax cuts aren't permanent, or you can't pass them in time so they expire, or we've got all kinds of cliffhanger trouble over us. And that's the problem. And, so I appreciate the attempts to make a difference. And I appreciate Mike Johnson and others. They're trying. And I think it's good. But I don't think that they're taking the responsibility seriously enough. What if all 435 members of Congress? Oh, you'll never get them to do anything together, Sam. You're right, except for sell us down the river. They've been good at that for decades, for generations of working together to sell us out. They're very good at that. It's like a uniparty. It's like Pat Buchanan said, the left-right wings of the same bird of prey mentality, right? Yes, Sam, but you can't change on a dime. I get it. It's like a big, huge ocean liner or an airplane. You can't turn too fast. I get it. But you are making the problem worse by your defense as opposed to your offense. You're making matters worse by saying it's out of our hands. What you need to do is force the media to tell the tale. How do you do that? You go to the smaller and the medium news outlets, the little ones, the new media taking center stage people, and use them as a united group to call a halt to the con game of the mainstream press, protecting congressmen and senators from both sides of the aisle. And you move forward and you say, hey, we're going to create accountability here. We're going to go to the smaller groups that will tell the truth, and then we're going to force that into the mainstream. Donald needs to say, I've been on 25 smaller shows. They're all congruent. We need to audit and end the Fed. There's bills in place to do that. Send them to me, is what President Trump should be saying, and I will sign them. As to the Fort Knox, what better day? What better day to go into Fort Knox, ladies and gentlemen, and see if the gold's really there, right? What better day than on Memorial Day, right? Couple of days, Monday. Everybody's got the day off. Everybody's celebrating. Why don't you do a reality TV show about noon Eastern on Monday where you're like, hey, we're going to roll into the Federal Reserve and check out once for all. Is the gold there, baby? Go into Fort Knox. We're going to get you the answers, man. Donald puts on a headlamp and everything else. He's like, man, we're going in, in this reality TV show of the president. And you might as well have Elon Musk there. He's done a lot of work, too. Let him kind of go. And, you can make this the biggest news event in history on Memorial Day. The leaders of the greatest country on the face of the earth verify if they have real, honest money in the vaults over there in Fort Knox. Okay, let's get her done. What better day? I mean, forget Monday. I'd be for it today, right? All right, hang tight. We got a lot more where this comes from. News the networks refuse to use straight ahead. This is Liberty Roundtable Live.
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. House Republican leaders spoke to the press following passage of their One Big Beautiful Bill this week.
But this was a big one, and once again they have been proven wrong. Today the House has passed generational, truly nation-shaping legislation.
That is House Speaker Mike Johnson, who is urging his Senate Republican colleagues not to make too many changes, as that could complicate coming together on a conference bill. Speaker Johnson also called the bill historic, said it was one of the most important pieces of legislation to ever pass the House. Harvard University is suing the Trump administration over its ban on enrolling foreign students.
In the lawsuit, Harvard is challenging the government's decision to bar it from enrolling foreign students, saying the action violates the First Amendment and Due Process Clause. The Ivy League school says the prohibition is an unconstitutional retaliation for defying the White House's political demands. About a quarter of Harvard's students are from foreign countries. The Trump administration alleges that the school has created an unsafe campus environment for Jewish students. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Freeways at airports across the U.S. are filling up as more people make their Memorial Day weekend getaway plans. AAA's Alexia Diaz expects 45 million people to hit the roads.
Maybe they're not going to go on big vacations far away, but they're still going to go out of town. And travel for AAA is 50 miles or more from home. This sets a new Memorial Day record.
Meanwhile, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had some good news Friday for all those travelers.
According to the fuel savings platform Gas Buddy, the national average price of gasoline is expected to be $3.08 on Memorial Day.
And that compares to $3.38 a gallon this time last year. The vast majority of people will be making their trips by driving. More from townhall.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Do you treasure your liberty? Well, at lovingliberty.net, we most certainly do. And we want to help protect your liberty too. Become part of the family. Everyone knows that the core of any society is the family. Therefore, the government should foster and protect the integrity of its family, we the people. Won't you join us as a Loving Liberty sponsor to help us promote the principles in the 5,000-year leap? Let's restore the miracle that changed the world at lovingliberty.net.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
As you all know, Roe versus Wade has resulted in some of the most permissive abortion laws anywhere in the world. For example, in the United States, it's one of only 7 countries to allow elective late-term abortions, along with China, North Korea, and others. Right now, in a number of states, the laws allow a baby to be born from his or her mother's womb in the 9th month. It is wrong. It has to change. Americans are more and more pro-life. You see that all the time. In fact, only 12% of Americans support abortion on demand at any time. Under my administration, we will always defend the very first right in the Declaration of Independence, and that is the right to life.
Live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
And a big old Memorial Day extended weekend to all of you. Happy Memorial Day. Pray for our veterans. Pray for those who have served their country. Let's stand for peace, not war. Let's keep things appropriate. Donald Trump Jr. said regarding the President of the United States, he says that calling is there. So he thinks he's got a calling to run for President of the United States. Reuters reporting that. Musk retreating from Washington, says he'll spend a lot less on politics. See, I never understood that. You and I are ratcheted down, folks. There's only a certain amount of money you can put into politics, or hey, you're over the limit. But yet they can use these weird tricks of the law to go ahead and let, Elon Musk put in millions of dollars to the election cycle. He put in a bunch of money to help Trump and Trump team win and everything else. That's fine. Mark Zuckerberg did the same thing on the Democrat side for 2020, right? I think all that is a problem. Why do we allow this? I mean, if I'm a mortgage broker or a real estate agent, by law, I can't even ethically take somebody out and pay for their lunch. If I do, it might be considered bordering on a bribe or kickbacks or whatever words you want to use for this. But yet Congress critters can take all kinds of money, all kinds of election funding, and to the tune of millions and billions of dollars, and it's okay. It's no problem. In fact, for me to bring it up, it's just like, Sam, come on, you're wasting my time. That's just the way it's been done forever. I get it. And that's why we've got the problems that we've got forever, right? Anyway, so Elon Musk says he'll be less visible in Washington. He spent hundreds of millions to elect Trump and others, and he says he'll spend less on future elections. That's interesting. Anyway, he'll be posting less about Trump, or he is posting less about Trump on his social media, etc. Anyway, there you have it. Also, Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina displayed naked photos of herself Tuesday before a congressional hearing, and she's clashing with this other clown. Anyway, the bottom line is this, how true it all is, how innocent Nancy is, I don't know those things. What I do know is it's very interesting when Nancy Mace tried to make these points on the conservative side of the ticket. Where the heck is the Me Too movement, people? I mean, they were all about this. But when it comes to uncovering the Jeffrey Epstein files, when it comes to Nancy Mace and her points, how come the Me Too movement's not just doubling down? I mean, where are they on this? They seem to be MIA, missing in action, right? In my mind, that's a serious, serious problem indeed, right? Some would say, well, Sam, that's not that big a deal. I think it's a huge deal. Because how genuine are these people? Is it like, well, the Me Too movement's real? We need to believe these women, but yet not believe Nancy Mace? See, how do you have that both ways? I think Nancy's a good person. I don't think she's perfect. I'm sure there's a lot we don't know about her, but she is on the conservative side of the aisle, and that's what I find fascinating. Where is the Me Too movement in defending her claims? Is she a woman to be believed? Or is it like, no, that's a bimbo eruption like Bill and Hillary used to call them? By the way, speaking of Bill and Hillary and the Jeffrey Epstein files, hey, let's not debate with Kash Patel whether, Jeffrey committed suicide or he was taken out. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel saying, hey, we are convinced that he killed himself. Fine. I disagree with you on that. I believe there's too many anomalies and too many problems in that narrative. Fine. Let's set that debate aside for a second. Here's the bottom line. I don't care about Jeff, whether he's dead or not. We're not going to get a hold of Jeff. Right? What about all those connected to Jeff? How do we have a situation where this is the biggest kingpin? I'm trying to think of the word. Pedophile? Whatever word you want to use for this guy. The Me Too movement should be all over this guy. But what I find fascinating is how does he become the biggest kingpin? He commits suicide and kills himself. But yet we're led to believe that, his misdeeds, well, there's everybody in their dog connected to him. We kind of admit that on the general statement. But when it comes to names and places and faces and people, why aren't all the people that were involved in those criminal activities with Jeff Epstein, why are they not in jail? Or why don't we have the goods on them? See, what we've done is we've kind of said, well, Jeffrey Epstein was evil. He was horrible. We caught him. Thank heavens he's been stopped. He's now dead. But yet we're not going to really follow the trail, follow the money, follow the testimony, to get to the bottom of this. See, that's my concern with it all. We talk big, but nothing gets done. Okay? How many people have gone to jail over the Jeffrey Epstein affair? I don't really know of anybody. Do you? So see, that's my problem with this is I appreciate the efforts being made, and I appreciate it's better that it's talked about, at least some, than not talked about at all. But see, I don't see any action. I see a whole lot of talk. We need a lot more action. Now, there's a country song that talks about that, right? A little less talk, a lot more action. It's talking about, other topics, but the point's the same, which is, when is this going to be real? If Jeffrey was involved with all these bigwigs, and there's big names of contact lists and associates, if you will, well, where's that list? And what was the involvement of these people? What documentation? What witnesses? Let's build a case against all those people that had connections to Jeffrey Epstein. But see, we're not really doing any of that. We talked. We said, oh, man, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, they're going to release the files. And Donald's a bad guy. Now you got Donald Trump defending Joe Biden. Oh, I said Donald. Sorry, Joe. We've got Donald Trump defending Joe Biden now, saying, hey, he's not really responsible. It's other people around him. Fine. Who are those other people? Well, see, we'll never get a list of that either. Joe was a bad guy. Now he's an incompetent guy. Can't. It's the people around him. Who are those people? Well, silence. See, that's the problem that I'm having. Where are the lists of these criminals? You even had some people associated with General Flynn and others. What do they call that guy? The Secretary of Retribution? And he was supposed to bring out a big list, and these people were going down and all this. What happened to all that? Whole lot of talk, not much action. Is that what we're discussing? Because that sure seems to me like that is what we're discussing. Where are the people tied to Jeffrey Epstein that should be going to jail? Who are they? Where are they? How do we prosecute them? How do we put them on the stand? How do we use witnesses against them and follow the money and the documentation? Okay, Bill Clinton's one of them. Bill Clinton said, I wasn't really on Jeffrey's plane. Oh, lied. With the White House records show that you were fine. I was on there, but nothing really bad happened. I was only on there a couple of times. No, the research and the FOIA requests and all this kind of stuff, Freedom of Information Act requests, you were on there 26 plus times. What did you do? Well, we're not going to really talk about what we did, but you know it was all innocent, right? Okay, that's where we are with Bill. And then Bill's the guy that basically coined with Hillary the bimbo eruption scenario. So if it's Bill and Hillary, it's bimbo eruptions, and we're not going to connect the dots to Jeffrey Epstein. When it comes to the Me Too movement, they're strangely silent on this thing, right? So how does Bill get protected? Who else is connected? Oh, Bill Gates. Yeah, that guy. In fact, he had a big old divorce with his wife over this kind of thing, they say. And, everybody wants to say, well, I knew Jeff, but not very well. Oh, I was on the plane, but not very often. Well, I was on the plane, but this time it was innocent, or this time it was okay. Okay, lies, lies, lies. And when are we going to demand the truth and create accountability? And you say, Sam, why is this so important to you? Because I believe if we have immoral people at the top in their private lives, right? You can't separate their private lives from their public life. Look at Elon Musk, for instance. Is he better than most? Yes. Is he very smart? Yes. Has he made a lot of money? Yes. But you look at Elon Musk and you go, hey, this guy's running fixers to change what we know about him, to shut women down that he's been physically involved with and created babies with. Just like Hunter Biden. Elon Musk and Hunter Biden both denied they were with these women. The women said, oh, you want to bet? They said, yeah, it all went down. They did in court DNA tests. And, hey, we've got a 99% likelihood that it's this person or whatever. Okay, what about that? Well, both Hunter Biden and Elon Musk have both been virtually forced to admit in court that it's their babies, even though they challenge that. Well, when you challenge that, you're suggesting the women you're involved with are, I'll just use the word floozies, right? Okay, you're already saying the women are problem. Why are you with those kind of women in the first place, gentlemen? That's number one. Number two, then what happens to your character when it turns out these women are telling the truth that it is your baby? that when you denied being involved with these women, you basically lied, and then they pushed the envelope in court, and you got caught. And now you got to pay child support, or now you got to this, you got to that. What are these men running around with fixers in the first place to do all that stuff? To bury that, to call them bimbo eruptions as Bill and Hillary started, to ignore them and to discredit them, and, that woman's nothing but a this or a whore or that or whatever you want to say. And we act like the women are the bad ones. These guys are the good guys, just being what? Seduced by these evil women? I'm not buying it, folks. And until we get to the bottom of this issue, we can't get to the bottom of a lot of other issues because there's too many people being blackmailed, right? This is Liberty Roundtable Live.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at CSPOA.org. That's CSPOA.org.
All right, back with you live. So I'm kind of rambling a little bit. I don't mean to, but this is important, and I don't know how to get this into a short-form video and everything else. It's a complicated topic, but you've got these leaders. You know, Bill Clinton. You got Jeffrey Epstein. You got Bill Gates. You got Elon Musk. And all these guys at the top, man, hey, their personal lives are just a disaster. And they literally hire fixers, those are attorneys and others, that can force people to shut up for big money. And when you run your life like that, because your private immoral deeds spill out into the public, and then you try to use fixers to change all that, how much can we trust those kind of people? I would say you can't trust them at all. If you're literally going to get a woman pregnant, for example, deny it's your baby, be forced to endure a DNA test in court, and then, yes, it is your baby. What are you doing to these women? I mean, you literally lust after them, find them, and physically get them pregnant, and then you want to bail or want to use a fixer to jettison. Okay, how much Trump's done that? The debate's on. He's gone to court over it. Same scenario. So whether it's Donald or Bill Clinton or Bill Gates or, you know, these different Elon Musk, why are we dealing with all this with these people? See? And that's what we've got to really fix in America. We cannot elect leaders on this false premise that says it doesn't matter what they do in their private life. That's their own business. This is public. And no, when their private lives are so immoral, they spill into the public in very unhealthy ways. Think about Monica Lewinsky. Now, is she innocent? No, I don't think so. But at the same time, she was a little girl intern. She might have been an adult, so, you know, it's not a statutory discussion or anything like that. But, man, Bill Clinton was old. She was a little young girl, intern, very impressionable. It was her boss and this and that. And really nothing happened to Bill Clinton over it. He lied about it, said that it wasn't true, said that how dare us make those claims, and then it turns out to be 100% true. How do we know? Because it was literally stains on the dress. Why didn't we force Bill to take a DNA test over that kind of thing? There's also a man that's a half black dude or whatever that says, hey, he's Bill Clinton's son. How do we deal with that? Can we get to court and prove that? See, we can't even get to court on that. I've interviewed that gentleman. He can't even get to court. The fixers are just too good. We can't tolerate this, people. We can't. We need to stand for morality. We need to stand for pro-life. Anyway, I digress, except for this is all coming to a head. Because how are we going to trust these people? Joe Biden did a lot of wrong, but now he's too incompetent to stand trial, I guess. So leave Donald alone. It's all the guys that surround Donald. They're the bad guys. They're the ones that are bordering on treason. They're the ones. Fine, who are they? Where's the list? Where's the retribution list, huh? This is the kind of stuff we really need to get to the bottom of. Is there going to be any accountability? And I'm kind of sick of hearing about all these things if there's just no accountability around the corner. All right, interesting news. This is very strange, but there's a Democrat Delaware governor, Matt Meyer is his name, Meyer, Matt Meyer, signed a bill into law on Tuesday that legalizes assisted suicide in the state. I don't know how to respond to this, but to me this is horrible. The law allows terminally ill patients to request and to self-administer medication to end the individual's life with the approval of two medical professionals. Delaware has been weighing similar legislation since 2015, but previous iterations of the bill failed to gain the necessary support for it to actually become state law. Well, that's changed now, right? That's the big deal. This signing today, they say, is about relieving suffering and giving families the comfort of knowing that their loved one was able to pass on their own terms without unnecessary pain and suffering. Let's see. By the people they love the most, the mayor said upon his signing. That's according to the Delaware public media. Now, I appreciate that. I'm not really impressed, but, for many of you, many more that have dealt with this, it's been a long journey. But we believe it's the right thing to do. And anyway, it's a big, long story. The law says that it's dignified, it's appropriate, it's good. I don't agree with that. I oppose this, right? Okay. Humane and dignified. When are we on coercion? When is it, how do you know? The problem with this stuff is I understand that you want to let people peacefully pass away. You don't want to preserve their life extra. You don't want to, I get that. I support that in general. Hey, let people die. Don't put them on artificial life support or whatever else and keep them. Okay, I get it. Let them die with dignity. But when you start to up the timetable of God, I think you're on very thin ground or very shaky ground. Your argument's very thin because pro-life should be the general place where we stand for something. Hey, the whole purpose of government is to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, let's talk about this. Why are we going to have government then create laws that say you can end people's lives prematurely? Well, Sam, they're suffering, they're in pain. I get the pain management. I get that we don't want people in extra, suffering. I get that. But when do we take someone's life into our own hands and say, we know better than God, let's cut it short? See, that's the problem here. It's like abortion. I know you can say, well, there's an exception for rape and incest. I don't disagree with those exceptions, but I will say those exceptions should be very narrowly defined. You know, when do you say the health of the mother is in jeopardy and we know more than God? Could God save the mother and the child? Possibly. So we tend to do this a lot. We tend to think we know everything. Anyway, I stand against this governor, Meyer of Delaware, signing into law that legalizes assisted suicide in the state. I don't think it's good that we go that direction. I really don't. The law allows legally ill patients to request and to self-administer medication to end the individual's life. When do they let you deal with medication yourself in the first place, especially medication that can deal with life or death or abortion or this or that or assisted suicide? Or, I mean, my heavens, you can't even get oxygen if you need it without a prescription. You can't even go to the pharmacy and say, I think I've got strep throat, I want some antibiotics. No, all that's regulated till the cows come home. But now they're saying, yeah, we're going to let terminally ill patients request and self-administer medication to kill themselves. Yeah, let's make sure we have two medical professionals, two Jack Kevorkians in the mix to go ahead and say it's all right. Folks, you better pray before God and be dang sure that you're right on this thing. This is not something to be taken casually. This is not something to be taken lightly. The American Family Association just sent me this interesting, fascinating headline. The Ten Commandments are God's blueprint for life. Amen. I couldn't agree more. And thou shalt not kill is one of them. And so my point is, we got to be really, really careful. When are we truly trying to preserve life and be humane and all that kind of stuff, right? Versus when are we taking life wrongfully, unnecessarily, right? Anyway, I think we need to share God's word. I think we need 10 Commandments t-shirts all over the place. By the way, the American Family Association has them, right? That's why it's so important. I appreciate the AFA bringing this up, because right on the heels of this headline, I really want to put the 10 Commandments are God's blueprint for life, right? And I'm going to put AFA by this thing. AFA.org. I'll have to confirm that site. But they're highlighting this, and they're promoting T-shirts that are 10 Commandments, saying, hey, the 10 Commandments are God's blueprint for life. Thou shalt not kill. So when are we crossing the line from the dignified, humane efforts of letting people die with peace and grace and dignity, and versus when are we crossing the line? When are we becoming kind of a Jack Kevorkian about it, where we say, hey, we know better than God and we're going to take life? In our great infinite wisdom, we decided that, man, this person, they can go. They don't want to be here and they can go. How hard do you push towards that pro-death agenda? And those are some very fine lines that we, the people, need to really, really think about. And in the meantime, I hate to see state after state after state back this pro-death agenda, right? Legalizing assisted suicide. We're going down that road. And in my mind, you saw this with the Romans, and you see it now. It's a hallmark of a society going south. A hallmark of society going from, they start out with moral intentions, but then they become very immoral. And sadly, pro-death is the sacraments of Satan, not of God Almighty. He wants thou shalt not kill to be the mantra of the day. And boy, howdy do I agree. Amen. Let's stand with God, family, and country, shall we? I'm Sam Bushman. Hour 1 in the can, hour 2 coming up. LibertyRoundtable.com is my website for the show and videos, short videos, and a whole lot more. We're syndicated by the Loving Liberty Radio Networks, LovingLiberty.net, incredible talk show hosts around the clock, and more. LovingLiberty.net. I'm Sam Bushman. God save the Republic of the United States of America.